and you go up there by yourself for 2 weeks, and then you come back and tell us everything, and then we'll see if we're gonna investigate it. So I go up there for 2 weeks, and I'm used to what I've heard in the desert, so I know what to expect. But it was at another level up there. So first, I meet a firefighter, and he goes, "Hey man, because of the marijuana grows and because how armed these guys are." He gives me a map. He's like, "These are all the residents or the neighborhoods we can't go to on a 911 call." So it's like, if there's a fire, we don't even attend, because he's like, there's literally Asian guys with like AKs now that they shoot at us. They do. He's like, now
America.
In America. So the way he explained it, saying the only way they could respond to a 911 call, they now have to call the sheriff of Siskiyou County or whatever, and the sheriff has to accompany that firefighter, or they just won't do it. Amazon, there's a bunch of they broke it down, a bunch of neighborhoods up there. Amazon won't deliver it anymore. UPS can't send any workers up there.
They'll send a drone.
Ambulances. So same thing. Like, they got a 911 call. Ambulances can't go up there. So it just started, little by little. And then we met a teacher up there who owned property on a mountain in NorCal. And so she was telling us that she went on a summer vacation, and then during that summer vacation, essentially what happened was a bunch of Mexican and Chinese moved into that property, tapped into the water lines, and then actually camped out there. So they actually built huts and camps on her mountain and tapped into the water every day. So while on summer vacation, she just calls her son. She says, "Hey Bobby, can you just go check on the property? Make sure blah blah blah, whatever." So according to her son, and I spoke to both of them to verify the story. According to his son, he drives up, and then when he went to go check the water tank, saw like 4 or 5 Mexican guys armed. Obviously, they were tapping into the water line. He just immediately did a U and had to call law enforcement. And then law enforcement went up there a week later and cleared out. Those guys were already out there. So we went up there after to see the aftermath, just to see all the lines. Was interesting to see the huts. So to see how like these guys were living, was fascinating. And then the worst part is that she was telling me that at the end of this whole thing, Cal Fishing Game actually billed her for the environmental damage. That's another part of the story.
Oh, they billed her for what they did.
Yeah, because technically,
that's nice.
All of that, because because the thing is, these guys also bring in these chemicals from Mexico that are banned here in the U.S. to put on the weed because they don't want the animals to eat them. So she ended up getting billed for them like over 30 grand by Cal Fishing Game. And it was just like I said, bro. It was just crazy how this just kind of kept opening up.
Normal neighbors. Look at the type of stores
White
and people. Do you notice anything? Now I'm out here in the hood. You notice a difference? Capitalism has gone so far in the West that it's merged with racial, social, economic dynamics, which can't be changed in our lifetime. But here's what can. Look at the stores. Fried chicken and Chinese food, liquor stores where we can't interact with them.
I wonder why.
And beauty salons owned by possibly racist people. They top dollar to alter our natural hair. Why have we been keeping...
Why you're able to walk into a normal neighborhood and feel safe and see clean streets is because normal people, i.e. what you're getting at, white people, take care of our shit. Why you walk into the hood and see fried chicken and liquor stores and plexiglass all over the place to keep you separated from the cashier is so your people don't steal from them. Capitalism, social economics. Maybe it's your people who have a bad mentality and culture. You ever think about that? I already know the answer. You didn't, because you're the victim. Your people are always a victim. It's white supremacy's fault.
All right. You guys saw those videos. The first one was about the Chinese selling dope in America with the drug cartels, and I'm going to touch on that in a second. But the one you guys just saw, this was a white guy. I don't know who this guy is, so I'll just refer to him as the responder. He's responding to a video done by a young black kid. Don't know who he is either. The black kid is essentially trying to talk about the socioeconomic implications and consequences of, unbridled capitalism in the black neighborhood. And this is, if you know anything about, the pro-black space, this is a typical pro-black argument, and it goes on to talk about the negative feedback loop that happens when there is no access to capital. He's talking about normal neighborhoods versus black neighborhoods, and what he's saying is, in the black neighborhood, all you got is chicken shacks and liquor stores and stuff like that, and they're not even owned and operated by blacks. So there's a mass exodus of potential wealth from the black neighborhood. So there's no reinvestment. And of course, he doesn't talk about this, but this is where the talking point goes. I'm just laying out where the talking point goes. And he's talking about all of this, and the responder jumps in and he says, normal neighborhood. It seems like that term, along with the air quotes, got him triggered. So he didn't really respond to the actual video and the arguments that were being made. But he went on to say, normal neighborhoods don't need plexiglass because we're not criminals. And, you can walk safely in a normal neighborhood because, we're not criminals, and yada, 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 so on and so forth. This is a typical brown pill response to black argumentation. They don't necessarily respond to the argument. They just say, you guys are animalistic, you guys are violent, you guys are criminal. So, all of your problems are because you're just criminal and you're just that. That is essentially what that argument that the responder made. That's essentially what it is. Okay, it is what it is. The reason I bring this up is actually because of the first video. In the first video, you see a guy talking about how in California hills, there are Mexican drug cartels working in conjunction with Chinese drug syndicates, I guess you could say. The Chinese government controls absolutely everything about China. So if there are Chinese drug syndicates or organizations, the government knows. The Chinese government knows. And if they're in America, I promise you, the American government knows. If a podcaster knows, the government knows. So they're all in cahoots. So the Chinese, they have all the chemicals necessary to make the precursor drugs for all the synthetic drugs, whether it's, heroin or fentanyl, this, that, and the third. Obviously, the drug cartels, they sell this kind of stuff, so they have to make a deal. So these people come over from China through the southern border, and they set up shop with the cartels, and the cartels launder money through China, and in exchange, they get these precursor chemicals, and all this stuff gets pushed into America, predominantly, overwhelmingly, through black neighborhoods. Now, another black talking point, and I promise I will get to Jews in a second. Another black talking point is how the government pushes drugs into black neighborhoods. This is a very old talking point. It is a very true talking point. The CIA started the drug trade in America. I won't go into that, but the point of the matter is there would be no drug trade, there would be no cartels without American government, right? They push it into the black neighborhoods. There's a whole lot of hoo-ha and nonsense behind that, but it is what it is. The reason that I bring this up in conjunction with Jews in Israel is that we are in the midst of what I call the great noticing. This is where all the brown pillars and the Nick Fuentes guys, they are starting to notice, allegedly, that Israel is behind. According to them, Israel is the author of all white America's misery, allegedly. Everything I say is allegedly. According to them, all the porn you see in America is because of Israel. According to them, all the feminism is because of Israel. According to them, everything that is destructive to American culture, specifically white culture, the white way of life, is due to Israel. So this is where we get the Jew pill from. This is essentially their boogeyman, right? Their boogeyman wears a small hat. Now, the reason that I find all of this funny is because black people have for years, for decades, we have talked about nefarious entities in the government pushing drugs into our neighborhood, sucking out the capital, ensuring that black people couldn't rise up economically or even socially. We've talked about how, we're unfairly represented on the news media. We're unfairly represented in just the media in general, how people look at us and so on and so forth. And, I won't say white people. I'll say brown pillars. Even though in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, the brown pill wasn't a thing. I'm just talking about the people who have that same spirit. The spirit of the brown pill is essentially brown people bad, white people good. If we get rid of the brown people, America would be perfect. Okay. That's the general sentiment, not the flat out sentiment, but just in general. These people will see black people mess up. They'll see black people sell drugs, go to jail, and they'll say, well, you guys just shouldn't be selling drugs. And when you expound on why the drugs are getting sold, and keep in mind, I believe criminals should go to jail, but I also believe the drug trade should be shut down. These people will say, well, you just shouldn't sell drugs. It doesn't matter how many jobs there aren't. You could go work at McDonald's, right? There's always their entire argument. The brown pill argument is always just bat 1,000. Just be perfect. Just don't fall for the trap. Just don't be desperate. Even if you're born into a crazy desperate situation, you got siblings and this and that, who cares? Like, their excuse is always just go out there and be perfect. Just don't fall for it. Okay, this is why I bring this all up. You see the American government against black people. You see the Chinese government selling drugs in the black neighborhood. You see drug cartels from Mexico selling drugs into black neighborhoods. And all you say is, well, I mean, you guys should just be perfect. Just bat 1,000. Just stop getting pregnant as teenagers. Stop being gangbangers. Stop doing this. Stop doing this. Just stop. Just don't do it. Just don't fall for it. Okay. Since we don't get a boogeyman, whether it's Mexican, whether it's the CIA, whether it's the government, whether it's the Chinese, you don't get a boogeyman. I need you to keep that exact same energy. I don't want you talking no crazy talk about them Jews. You don't get no Jewish boogeyman, because when we told you that our boogeyman wears a suit and works for the U.S. government, you said, so what? Stop selling drugs. When we said these people sell these drugs because there's no economic opportunities, they said, so what? Join the army. Okay. When I see the white way of life slipping away, join the military. And you'll say, I don't want to fight wars for Israel. No, go fight that war, because that's what you told us. You told us to go fight that war. Don't switch up now. Don't switch up now because your boogeyman potentially, allegedly, wears a small hat. No, go on ahead and join that military and get your legs blown off. I don't want to hear you switching up now. When we said that there's no capital in our neighborhoods because the Arabs and the Indians and the Chinese can come over and get business loans and we can't, y'all said, go work at McDonald's. Okay, well, when you guys can't get the jobs that you want because of DEI and H-1B visas, take your ass to McDonald's. Keep that same energy. You know what's even crazier? I distinctly remember when I was a teenager, 16 to 18, and even when I was a young adult, I distinctly remember black people complaining about Mexicans flooding their neighborhoods. Every time these people would come to America, they would come here illegally. They would be dropped off in vans. They would be dropped off sometimes in like a little short bus. They get dropped off 20, 30 at a time. And somehow there would be somebody waiting to take them in. And we would complain, not me, but just black people in general would complain about seeing this all the time, how these people are being flooded into our neighborhood. And people would say, so what? Who cares? At least they work hard. We would talk about how our kids can't get jobs at McDonald's because there's too many of them. And they said, so what? Y'all don't want to work hard anyways. You don't want to work at McDonald's anyways. Now, all of a sudden, you see the brown people flooding into America, taking all the low-level jobs, so you guys can't get jobs. You ain't got nothing to say about that now. I remember when we were complaining about Mexican kids going to our school districts when they weren't even citizens, and nobody wanted to get them up out of there. And they said, so what? At least they're trying to go to school. And we told you they were bringing drugs and gang culture to cities where there are no drugs and gang culture. And y'all said, no, the crime rate is high in that city anyways. Deal with it. You guys did not care. You didn't care when we were blowing the whistle 20 years ago. You just laughed at us. You just said, oh, so what? Nobody cares about the opportunities leaving your neighborhoods. We talked about how there's a different level of crime going on in places like Chicago. You guys don't want to hear about that. When we said it's not all black on black crime, a lot of it is brown people, Hispanics, killing blacks, and then it's being marketed as black on black crime. You guys point to the rappers. You point to the kids out there making money off of entertainment and say, nope, this is really who you are. Now, when the Muslims are over here taking over Dallas, Texas, when the Muslims are over here taking over Minnesota, the Somalis, when the Muslims are over here taking over Dearborn, Michigan, all of a sudden you say, our women aren't safe. No. You got to keep that exact same energy that we had, because when we said all them Hispanics were coming over here, jacking up the crime rate, taking the jobs, sucking out the economic opportunities, you guys told us, so what? Suck it up, work harder. All we're doing is complaining. You said all we want to do is sit up on welfare. Then you saw the Hispanics get on welfare. You laughed at all of us Then you turn around and now you're upset that the people in Minnesota are running a welfare scam, sending billions of dollars back to Somalia. Nope. You don't get to blame the Jews because the whistle was blown by blacks a long time ago. Keep in mind, this is not a message for white people as a whole. This is for people who align themselves with Nick Fuentes and the brown pill. So for all my conservative white folks, I got nothing but love for you. This ain't about you. Conservative, liberal, Democrat, I know that this don't involve y'all. This is a small amount of white folks. And black people too, because there's black folks who think that this don't apply to them too, because there's a lot of self-hating black folks. And keep in mind, I am not excusing criminality. I believe that drug dealers should go to jail, but I also believe that the drug war should be shut down. My thing is, you guys can't have a boogeyman that wears a small hat if we can't point out the boogeyman that wears a suit and tie, or who the boogeyman that patrols the street. When we told you the cops were against us, you said stop breaking the law. I distinctly remember many conversations when I was in grade school and middle school and high school, and even when I had graduated and I was in the military as a young man. I remember many conversations that black people used to have with white people who were of the brown pill variety, and they would tell them the prison industrial complex was not built for whites. It wasn't built necessarily even for blacks. It was built for black children. It was built and it is designed to ensure that black kids will make their way into the prisons and whatnot. It's just like the alleged LGBTQRS alphabet soup agenda. That agenda is aimed at children, because you're not going to just turn a grown person gay. You're not just going to turn a grown adult black male or female into a criminal that easy. You have to aim the propaganda at the kids. And we were told, so what? Just don't be criminals.
So our focus should be third grade and down. Maybe a few fifth and sixth graders, but you have to do exactly what the white people are doing to target us. They do not promote homosexuality to grown folks. They promote it in Disney channels. They do not build prisons based off sixth grade reading tests. They build prisons based off third grade literacy tests. So we should be combating what they're focusing on, third graders and down.
Well, you say LGBT is against you, so stop being gay. Just tell your son to not be gay. Just tell your son to get up off his knees. When you say that there's certain entities, Jewish people, pushing porn on your kids, tell your kid to put that lotion bottle down and go pick up the Bible. Yeah, just make better decisions. Just bat 1,000, because we were told to bat 1,000 for all these years. Be perfect. Okay, when it comes to your alleged Jewish boogeyman, allegedly, I need you to bat 1,000. I need you to keep that same exact energy. I don't want to hear nothing about, there's no strong white role models. Because when we said the only representation for black people, for black men, were thugs and hooligans, y'all said, well, just don't be thugs and hooligans. Art imitates life. You guys are thugs and hooligans in real life. Okay. Well, so now when we see the only representation for white men are gay white men, soft white men, dumb white men, don't be gay, soft, or dumb. That's all you got to do. I don't want to hear you push back nan ounce on that skullduggery that the Jews are allegedly doing to you. Allegedly. Yeah, I don't want to hear none of it, because you don't give us any excuse. Now keep in mind, I'm not making excuses. I don't think there should be criminals in the black neighborhood. I don't think that, just because you're desperate, you should go rob or kill. When we break down how these mechanisms work, those mechanisms are put in place for a reason. They're put in place because they will have that effect. It's been proven. Before they ever put the plan in place, they know it's going to work to some degree. It's not going to work on everybody, but it's going to work on most. And what the brown pillars of the past would say is, well, just be exceptional. Michael Jordan made it. Charles Barkley made it. They look at the exceptional people who make it. So that's what I'm going to say. When you guys say that you have a Jewish boogeyman, what I'm going to say is be exceptional. This guy made it. That guy made it. Be exceptional. No excuses, right? Because we don't get excuses. Just like that white guy was not trying to hear what this young black man had to say, he stopped as soon as the kid did normal neighborhood. That triggered him. That's most brown pill thinkers, most brown pill thinkers, they don't want to have the full argument. Now, even if you have the full argument, I will concede that the argument has to end in action steps to stop a particular people, black people, let's just say, from being criminal. Yes, you do have to stop being criminal. I 100% agree. I 100% agree that gangs are stupid. Lock them all up and throw away the key. Drugs. I think you should lock up the user and the seller. When it comes to your Jewish boogeyman, I don't want to hear it. Tell your daughters to stop being whores. Tell your daughters to stop deleting your kids. Your birth rates are through the floor. Tell your daughters to stop being feminists. Just bat 1,000. Just be better. You say your culture's up here? Okay, show us. Shouldn't you be leading by example? And this is why I'm being so facetious. White people for years, and I don't want to say it's not all white people. We're talking about the brown pillars. The brown pillars for years have said, we set the tone, we set the standard. You don't see us doing that. Now that you have whore culture going out of control, and your sons are now weak and your daughters are off the chain and your sons are slipping down the slope, isn't this the perfect time to show all the minority people how superior you are to them by resisting the skullduggery of the small hat boogeyman? Allegedly. All right. I got to keep saying allegedly because I don't want them folks coming after me. The point of the matter is, I think in 2025 going into 2026, we can all agree that the story has never been as cut and dry as any of us have thought. Black people have always known there was a nefarious hand. They just didn't know whose hand it was. A lot of white people, not all, not even close to all, we're talking about brown pillars. These brown pillars have always said, we don't care. You guys are just inferior. Be better. Bat 1,000. Right? Very dismissive of the problem. Now when the problem comes to your shores, you want to point out a boogeyman the same way black people were. No. If we don't get a boogeyman, you don't get a boogeyman. There's a lot more subtlety and nuance to everything that I'm saying, a ton more. I'm just simply saying, if we're not allowed to make excuses, you're not allowed to make excuses. Just be better.